Good morning, Ospreys. Today is Friday, January 27th, 2023. It is day 2 for specials.
The weather today will be cloudy and cool.
For lunch today, we'll have pepperoni or cheese pizza. Now it's time for the morning meeting.
It's Friday. Yay! Have an amazing weekend with your friends and family. Today we are going to read another chapter from 8 Class Pets plus 1 squirrel divided by 1 dog equals chaos. Listen to the questions after we read and try to answer them yourselves. Today we are going to read about the art room turtle.
Hello, I'm Miss Vinson and I teach on the Shark team. And today we're going to continue reading 8 Class Pets plus 1 squirrel divided by 1 dog equals chaos. When we left off the last time, the squirrel had chased the dog and had let the hamster, the rabbit, the rat, and the parrot out of their cage. So we can imagine what kind of chaos that was. So today we're going to continue and see what happens in the art room. Sometimes people who come to visit Mrs. Hinkle's room get confused. They ask, is he a turtle or a tortoise? Mrs. Hinkle says, Nancy is a she, not a he, and she is a turtle. Mrs. Hinkle and I, we think there's a big difference between turtles and tortoises. We can't see how people get confused. By the end of the year of art class, Mrs. Hinkle's students will never again be the kind of people who get confused about this. Tortoises live on dry land, but we turtles spend most of our time in the water. But sometimes we like to have dry land to crawl up on. My beautiful glass case has both, along with a nice heat lamp to keep me warm. Nice and warm and cozy. I'm sorry, I fell asleep there under that lamp. Now, where was I? Oh yes, I am a mud turtle, so I'll never grow bigger than 6 inches. This makes me the right size for Miss Hinkle to sometimes take me out of my glass case and set me on the table so the boys and girls can see me better. Don't poke at Nancy or try to pick her up, Miss Hinkle says. She's very shy. It's nice to have someone else around to explain that you're not unfriendly, but only shy. Miss Hinkle teaches art. Even though I'm shy, I like that the children ask if I can come out of my case so they can use me as a model. Miss Hinkle gives me a piece of melon or lettuce to munch on so that I will stay still and not explore the table too much while my picture is being drawn. I like to have my picture drawn, but I also like to draw on my own pictures. Sometimes Miss Hinkle pours food coloring onto a piece of foil and lets me walk through it. Oh my goodness, I can imagine what kind of picture that's going to be. Then she sits down a piece of art paper and I walk on that, leaving colored footprints with my little webbed feet. We don't put paint on a turtle's shell, Miss Hinkle says, but a little bit of food coloring won't hurt Nancy's feet. One afternoon, after waking up from a nap and finding that all the children and Mrs. Hinkle too had left, I was admiring all the nice pictures Miss Hinkle had hanging up in her room. The children had been very excited and had talked about the artist who would be visiting the next day. An artist who was going from school to judge pictures and give out prizes for the best pictures. I think the best pictures are the ones that have me in them. But all of a sudden, there was a commotion in the hall. And so I pulled myself into my shell just in case there was danger. Good thing, because the noise came into the classroom. A dog was barking, a parrot was squawking, and a squirrel was shouting, "Help! Help! The nasty, smelly dogs are after me!" And a hamster, a rabbit, and a rat were yelling, "Run! Twitch, run!" The wheels of the cart the dog was pulling went squeak, squawk, and the fish in the tank on the cart were yelling in their own tiny fish voices, "School, school." Even with my head tucked safely inside my shell, I could see well enough to tell that Twitch must be the squirrel, since the others were telling Twitch to run, and it was the squirrel who ran up onto one of the tables in Mrs. Hinkle's. The dog jumped up there too. So much energy. It nearly wore me out just watching them. Twitch leaped off the table and over to the bookshelves, pulling himself up by Art in Western Civilizations. And the dog couldn't follow because the rope that tied him to the leg of the cart, it wasn't long enough. The dog ran back and forth on the table, knocking over paints and brushes and a box of chalk. The paint was leaking and dripping off the edge of the table, making a huge puddle on the floor. I liked the slow, thick way that the paint dripped and dripped and dripped. Oh, where was I? Oh, yes. I recognized Twitch, since sometimes I'd seen him look into the window of the classroom. Still, because I'm a little shy, I'd never talked to him before. But now that he was in danger, I wanted to help. It's scary when someone wants to eat you. So I called over, "Excuse me, Mr. Squirrel, sir." This was very abrupt for me. Turtle manners call for long and slow and proper introductions, but this was an emergency. I said, "Don't you have a hard shell you can escape into?" "Nope," Twitch said, springing from one bookcase to another. "Just fur. Fur's all I've got." Well, fur is not nearly useful not as useful as a hard shell. "Do you have a stink gland?" "Don't I wish!" Twitch bounded from the bookshelf to Miss Hinkle's desk, to her chair, and to the floor. My goodness, could he move really fast. The dog could move fast too, but when he jumped off the art table, his fish tank chart swung around and knocked into my table. My case tipped. I pulled all the way into my shell again. My case teetered, so I closed my eyes. My case tottered. Over the edge and on to the floor my case went, landing on its side. I rolled out of it too. By the time I decided I was still alive, Twitch had already escaped into the hall. The dog, still attached to the cart, ran out of the room with the parrot flapping his wings at him, and the hamster and the rabbit and the rat scurrying pretty fast too. The dog had left a trail of painted footprints from the table to the door. It was mean of him to want to eat Twitch, but I do have to say, he was a very talented artist. I decided to follow. So do you think Nancy is a turtle or a tortoise? I wonder how we can tell. What room is Nancy a class pet in? And how did Nancy make her art? Until next week, see you later.
Hey everybody, welcome to Chick Chat. We are on day 10, and day 10 is really exciting because the tail feathers are starting to come in. It's starting to look more like a bird, and their toenails are forming. So pretty soon we're gonna have some eggs that look like chickens.
JPS Kids Soar Higher. We are safe, on task, always responsible and respectful. Have a great day.